They say there's no place like home, assuming that you can afford one before retirement. Let me read you an alarming fact. The median age of a first-time homeowner, 40. The median age of all home buyers in the United States, 59 years old. Look at that graph. Check that out. It's 59 today. In 1980, it was like 30. As the crisis of affordability continues to take a heavy toll on Americans, housing or lack of affordable housing continues to be a pressing issue across the political spectrum. 1 in 4 U.S. households living paycheck to paycheck. According to Money Talks News, 70% of U.S. households unable to afford a median-priced home of around $400,000. President Trump just floated a 50-year mortgage idea. He's actively evaluating portable mortgages as well. And in the meantime, young people can't buy homes. They can't build equity. Wealth gaps will widen. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Codie Sanchez, author of Main Street Millionaire and the founder and CEO of Contrarian Thinking. Codie, it's so nice to see you. 3 data points from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors. 59% median age for all buyers, which is double what it was in 80. Median age for first-time home buyers is 40. If you go back to the late 80s, it was a person in their 20s. And first-time home buyers at a historic low. 20% of all home buyers before the '08 collapse, it was about 40%. What the hell is going on?
Well, I think this is why young people are so mad today. I think there used to be starter homes, not these 5, bedrooms, 5 baths that exist in all, communities around the U.S. We used to have homes that were 1/3 to half the price of what a starter home is now in the U.S., with the average price of a home being $400,000. And then, simultaneously, young people today, their wages haven't increased. So, in the 1940s, 90% of young people, they earned more than their parents by age 30. Today, less than 40% of young people earn more than their parents did at the same age. And so I think young people aren't just quiet quitting. They're not just logging off and doing TikToks. They are really looking at the numbers and saying, why don't we have starter homes? Why aren't we earning more money? And student loans. Not only your home's more expensive, we've got this massive debt on top of us that we can never get rid of. And oh, by the way, we were told that if we went to school, we got good grades, we got good jobs, we would have the American dream. And that does not appear to be happening. You're right.
You know that some will say, well, the priorities have shifted, right? They're not as interested in home ownership as their parents or grandparents were. They're happy to put it off, not as much marriage as there used to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But your information, your spidey sense tells you, no, they'd like to be homeowners. They just can't.
Yeah, well, 50% of 18 to 29-year-olds are still living with their parents. I don't know about you. I love my parents dearly, but living with them at 29, not the funnest. And I think a lot of times we say, oh, that's because these kids were entitled and their parents enabled them. We employ hundreds of young people. And let me tell you, when they're 29, they don't want to be coming home to mommy and daddies. And so I think it is easy for us to say these young people are super entitled. And for sure, every generation maybe has it a little bit easier in some ways in the US. But 50% of them, that's an 80-year high for them living at home with their parents. That is not normal behavior in the US in an environment where now young people work and are earning wages. And so, I also think we don't even talk about these well-meaning regulations we have all around the US, where we try to protect probably neighborhoods like you and I live in from having other homes come in and, that maybe would decrease our property value. So we've got this NIMBYism happening around the US. So young people, I think, they're real. You can't argue with this data today. And the fact that their wages haven't grown, how are they going to be able to afford a home that has doubled in price when wages have stagnated for them?
Okay, clearly we have a problem. The question now is what to do about it. The folks at Cato, the Libertarian Institute, they wrote on this. I'm going to put it on the screen and see what Codie Sanchez thinks. Regardless, they say policymakers should not overreact to a possible increase in median first-time homebuyer age. Americans are going to college in increasing numbers and entering the workforce later as a result. They're having fewer children and doing so later in life, potentially reducing the demand for homeownership for young families. Bottom line, they argue this is not a case for government intervention. What do you think?
Well, I think We should talk to the young people, perhaps. And most surveys and polls show that they do, in fact, want to own a home. I know for a fact, and these hundreds of people that we employ, one of the reasons why they come and are employed in a W-2, even if they earn less than entrepreneurship, is because it's nearly impossible to get a loan if you are an entrepreneur, while it is easier to get a loan if you have a W-2 paycheck. I think there's a regulation we could actually look at. Why is it so hard for entrepreneurs to get a mortgage when W-2 is hyper incentivized at an age where most of these young people have 2 to 3 jobs, many freelance opportunities, and the W-2 increase in this generation is actually going down for the first time ever, meaning they have more side hustles than any other generation has had. And so young people will tell you, no, we do want to own homes. And I think we should push a little on the Cato paper, which is to say, well, I don't have kids yet, but I'm pretty sure they're not cheap. And so if having kids is a reason why to buy a home because you just need more space, it's also a reason why homes are more expensive. So I don't think we can call that, causation. We might say that there's some, correlation there. But no, young people today, they want to buy homes. I think we need to make changes. And I think one of the main changes that most people of a higher income tax bracket don't want to do is to change housing regulation to allow for more building. We see it here in Austin. There's been a massive fight to allow for more increased zoning in urban areas. And nobody wants a high rise in their backyard. But do you want your children to have a home and the American dream more? And I think that's the question.
Codie, can we also close by saying, and if you want to get your financial legs, you don't necessarily need to be a doctor or a lawyer or an author or a talk show host. Look at the HVAC. This is straight out of your book. Look at the HVAC contractor. Look at the person who owns a business. I love your whole idea of take a look around you and what businesses there are that are entrepreneurial. Go knock on the door and maybe it's for you. Go ahead and amplify the point that I'm making from your great book.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the data is fascinating. First of all, trade jobs for the first time in 50 years are making material, so 30% more money than traditional out-of-college jobs. They also are 1/10 to 1/50th the cost in some cases of universities to get a certification or a trade job license as opposed to go to a 4-year college. And for the first time ever, we're seeing increase in college prices while we're seeing decrease in the value, meaning kids don't get better jobs after getting a degree. And so I think this resurgence of youth, we did a study and 95% of young people, that's Gen Z and below, want and are interested in blue collar jobs and trade jobs. Here's the problem. Guess how many of their parents want them to do it? 5%. And so the world is changing, but I'm pretty sure that AI's going to take over marketing before it takes over my roofing companies.
Great to see you. Codie Sanchez, we appreciate you. The book is terrific. Let's see what you're saying on social media, everybody. Follow me on X, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be reading your comment aloud. Garth, America faces a serious potential economic crisis if the average age of home ownership, and by the way, it's median, not average, but okay, it means people will be paying off their mortgages in their late 70s and even 80s when their income is much less. There is bound to be a record foreclosures. I mean, it used to be people who were buying their first home, you saw the data, were in their late 20s, and now they're 40. And the median, half above, half below, of all home buyers, I don't know, do we have that graph handy again? It's so stunning. It's from the folks at Apollo. I should give them a shout out. Catherine, if you could throw that up again. The median age is 59. There it is. Look at this. Now look to the left. In 1980, the median age of all home buyers was 30. And people are staying in their houses now because the interest rates are so damn low. People have 2 or 3% interest rates. And what, you want to go buy another house now and pay 6 or 6 1/4? It's an issue. Maybe the answer are portable mortgages. It's not 50-year mortgages. You'll be in like year 26 before you're even putting a dent in any principal. I want to remind you, go to my website at Smerconish.com, answer today's poll question. I cannot wait to see the result on this. Are we ever going to see the government files on Jeffrey Epstein? That's what I'm asking. Still to come, your social media reaction to my commentary and opening thoughts, and Target launching 10-4 training. It encourages workers to smile and wave and engage with guests, but could there be another reason behind the sales slump they're facing? Is the bigger issue something other than customer service? Sign up for the newsletter when you're voting at Smerconish.com. You'll see the work of Scott Stantis. Love that.